What in the newsroom is going on? Both Fox News and CNN fire longtime and very popular news anchors. CNN just fired Don Lemon, and Fox News just fired Tucker Carlson. Is there any sort of correlation? Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and sometimes news. Let's unpack this. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So before we get to the Don Lemon of the situation, Tucker Carlson, who would have thought that we'd be talking about Fox News and their anchorman? So a lot of people were shocked this morning when Fox News and Tucker Carlson apparently have parted ways. He is a major force over at Fox News and brought in a lot of money. So TMZ writes this in the breaking news: Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News, a stunning development that comes on the heels of the cable news giant's massive 9-figure settlement of the Dominion voting defamation case, which had Tucker Carlson tied in it as well. So they said the often controversial media personality has been a ratings king for years. So why would they fire him? He was a ratings king for years in his primetime slot, but the network says this past Friday was his last show. The company says that it agreed to part ways with him, not giving any further reason or context. They add, "We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor." So instead of Tucker Carlson tonight coming on at 8 p.m. Eastern, which was his usual start time, Fox News says Fox News Tonight will air live in its place as an interim show with a rotating list of Fox personalities hosting until a permanent one is named. And I know some of you probably don't even realize that Fox News is the #1 news network. I know, take that in for a second. It's the #1 news network here in the United States. So Tucker has been helming his program at Fox News for years, dating back to 2016 and killing his competition at other networks. Prior to getting his show, he had worked at Fox as a contributor and journalist since 2009. So the important detail about this story and the timing of this story is right after this recent settlement that Fox had with the Dominion voting systems. TMZ writes this: this move comes after Fox agreed to pay $787.5 million to settle the lawsuit brought by Dominion Voting Systems, which accused the network of embracing/airing outright lies about their voting machines during the 2020 election. All right? If it had gone to trial, Tucker Carlson and several other Fox personalities would likely have been called to testify. Tucker was a key figure in the litigation. Text messages of his were aired out during the discovery process, and he was found to have trashed Donald Trump in private to colleagues. Interesting enough, Tucker signed off this last show on Friday with "We'll be back on Monday." It goes without saying his tenure at Fox has been incredibly controversial, they write, but also successful by the same token. However you look at it, it's an end of an era. And it's even more significant because shortly after this news broke, CNN and Don Lemon revealed that he is no longer at CNN. And I know some people are really shocked by the news. And honestly, maybe because I do what I do, I'm not. And I didn't do a recent story because I was away about Don Lemon being exposed in a recent article. Let's talk about Don Lemon. So Don Lemon took to his Twitter today to share a message confirming that he has been let go from CNN. So Don Lemon said this in a message. He says, "I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network." Remember, he was recently suspended for the comments he made about a woman in their prime. We did a whole separate video talking about that. And that opened up a can of worms of people saying, oh, well, he's terrible behind the scenes. We'll get to it. So Don Lemon continues in his message. He says, it is clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best. Here's the thing. Okay, before I get to that, because I do have thoughts on this, and this just has to do with having an HR background, but also just working in corporate America. Look, there are already people speculating, did CNN release this news today because of the Tucker Carlson situation? Honestly, it's an incredible coincidence, I think. I don't think that this was something that they decided, oh, we're going to release it now. No, I believe they've been building their case against Don Lemon for a while, making sure that they have done their due diligence over the last few months. After that last suspension that he had, I believe CNN has been trying to figure out, we're probably going to have to let this man go. And this comes after the news. King Charles, that new show that's coming with Gayle King and Charles Barkley, is coming to the network, and they're going to be paying her a lot of money. A lot of money. I believe like $12 million for one night a week. I don't remember the exact number. We talked about this before. So they have a new show coming. All right. So NBC News writes this. Don Lemon was terminated from his anchor role at CNN, announced today. The news comes after Variety published a story earlier this month on allegations that he mistreated his female colleagues over the course of his career there. And earlier this year, as you know, he faced backlash over a widely criticized comments that he made on air. And then we had to unpack all the comments that people were saying, the back and forth that he had with his co-anchors of the new morning show that he was doing. So that's where it was really starting to snowball about Don Lemon. So I was not shocked that they let him go, especially because while I was away, I saw the story where Variety came out and said that there were quite a few different people saying that he is horrific behind the scenes. Because we didn't get to cover this last month or earlier this month because I was away, I just wanted to bring out some of the things that came in this Variety article. Variety writes this. Back in 2008, Don Lemon was co-anchoring CNN's Live From weekday show with Kira Phillips, a gig that he landed after he arrived at the network 2 years prior from local news in Chicago. For months, tensions between the pair kept mounting. On more than one occasion, a Live From producer and a newsroom supervisor had to pull Lemon off the air during commercial break because of the anchor's alleged, I'll say, provocative antics, not unlike his recent declaration, as you know, with the 51-year-old Nikki Haley isn't a viable presidential candidate because she, quote, isn't in her prime. Amid the charged atmosphere, sources say Lemon disrespected colleague Nancy Grace on air, Soledad O'Brien during an editorial meeting attended by roughly 30 staffers. Has Soledad spoken out? Because she's very outspoken on social media. I would want to hear her side. They continue, this is, but his antipathy towards Phillips was particularly concerning and had many members of the close-knit Atlanta news team on edge. While Phillips was on assignment in Iraq, a high-profile gig that Lemon coveted, he vented his disappointment at being passed over by tearing up pictures and notes on top of and inside Phillips' desk in the news pod they shared, according to two sources who worked there at the time. When she returned from Iraq, things only got weirder. One night while dining with members of the news team, she received the first of two threatening text messages from an unknown number on her flip phone that warned, now you've crossed the line and you're going to pay for it. Phillips was visibly rattled and quickly enlisted CNN higher-ups to identify the sender. Remarkably, the texts were traced back to Lemon, according to those same sources. So a human resources investigation was launched, and while the findings were never disclosed to the growling pool of staffers who were aware of the situation, Lemon was abruptly pulled from his co-anchor duties with Phillips and moved to the weekends. It was a demotion by any objective measure and understood to be some kind of disciplinary action. It appears to be the last time he was paired with a female anchor until his most recent assignment on CNN This Morning with Don Lemon, Poppy Harlow, and Caitlin Collins. But it doesn't end there in regards to his ego. And sidebar, when I did the other story about Don Lemon, one of the people that follow me, and actually a friend of mine, said that his interaction with Don Lemon was really interesting because he was incredibly rude. Look, I'm just going to add that little snippet in here. So Variety continues. They said those who worked with him say he was a shameless name dropper and left behind hints that he socialized with important people, like a handwritten note from Stedman Graham that he had taped on his computer. Some were unnerved by his talk of his previous lawsuits, believing it signaled that he was litigious. He frequently let drop that he successfully sued Tower Records as well as the Chicago PD for racial profiling and didn't need to worry about the money thanks to the settlements. Oh. These are very specifics. This is why it's interesting. Variety can only find record of the former, all right, which was settled in 2001 and appeared to be sealed. Through a CNN spokesperson, Lemon says he never sued the Chicago PD. All while he began openly dating a fresh out of college staffer despite a major age difference and power imbalance. Lemon was 41 while the staffer was 22. What in the Marcus Houston? The ambitious anchor, who is gay, as you already know, was not out of the closet at the time, but wasn't hiding it either. The pair would drive to work together in Lemon's car and began a long-term open relationship. Dating a junior employee was frowned upon at the time. So one senior executive said at the time, as fast as you can make a rule, Don would bend it. More troubling was his misogynistic behavior, multiple sources say. Lemon called one of his producers fat to her face. Not long before he was identified as sending threatening texts to Phillips, he mocked Grace on air by mimicking her, shocking fellow colleagues. Grace declined comment, but a person close to her tells Variety that she, quote, thinks he's an ass, and that he was always rude, dismissive, and really unfamiliar with the news content being discussed. So this is what a witness said of the Grace incident. That was the beginning of when you knew that Don was kind of volatile and didn't say good things about women. So that is just a little bit of a sample of what was said in Variety. And I thought it was important because we didn't get an opportunity to discuss that Variety article. I will link it in the description so you can read the full article and all of the allegations. So this is part of the reason. I know some of you don't keep up with all of the pop culture news, or because I consider this part of pop culture news. So I know some of you are shocked by today's events and they believe that, oh, CNN only made this announcement because of the Tucker Carlson situation. They feel as if, everyone's going to be focused on the Tucker Carlson situation more than the Don Lemon thing. But they forget that we can do two things at the same time. We can. And these old antics of trying to cover a story because something else larger is happening doesn't always work, especially not in social media. And especially not when it's Don Lemon, who really is somewhat of a celebrity when it comes to the news world. Tucker Carlson, I guess. But no, Don Lemon is a celebrity in this whole world of news and pop culture. So here's the thing, Don. Don was very hurt, as you can tell from his message on Twitter in regards to, giving 17 years of his life to CNN. But one of the things that I learned in my corporate years is that as soon as you are sick, out, can't come to work, they will replace you. They do not care. Should they care after you've given 17 years of your time and efforts and entertainment and really have driven a new audience to CNN? Oh, of course. Morally, yes, that's what they should do. But at the same time, this is business. You understand the business more than anyone else. You saw how they did your friend Chris Cuomo, rightfully so. I understand. We have to remember, he's saying this so that we can get all riled up. How dare you, CNN? I'm not going to watch CNN anymore, which is your right. Because some people did just watch CNN for Don Lemon. But I was not completely shocked. Do I believe the allegations? Very possible, but I don't have a personal experience in this. But I told you, a friend told me recently when I did a story, they were like, well, I had an interaction with him before and he was less than kind. I mean, I'm being kind with the words I'm using. Those weren't the words he used. So guys, I want to know your reaction. Do you believe that it is CNN's way of trying to kind of brush things under the rug by making this announcement today? Do you think that they should have did him a service by management, calling him directly and letting him know that after your 17 years of service here at CNN, have decided to part ways. Please understand, CNN, they're not new to this. They did what they were supposed to do legally to protect themselves. They have been building a case in regards to Don Lemon for probably months, if not years. And the recent incident where he was taken off air because of, the whole women in their prime situation was just the cherry on top. And then Variety coming out with this article about other allegations. Now their hand was forced and they had to do something. And God only knows what else they had in their files in regards to these investigations. If anything, Don is probably lucky that nothing else has been exposed, that he could probably go on to another news network and be fine. Hopefully, allegedly, he'll behave better. Guys, I want to know your thoughts on the whole Don Lemon situation and the Tucker Carlson situation. Why do you think that Fox News would let go of their big ratings guy? Is it because they just had to give up almost $800 million? Let's continue this adult, mature conversation in the comment section. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.